Hey, it's ynathemoodreader and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about at least half of the best romance books of 2020 according to Goodreads. So yeah, you know Goodreads, that app every reader uses, and you know they publish their list of best books per genre every year, and that's fan voted or like user voted. And I went through the list and I just found out that I only read 3 of them. And I think for February, which was like the month of love, I would be reading some of the romances for last year that people enjoyed. And originally I was planning to read 5, but I ended up with 7 books. And yeah, we'll be talking about some of them. We'll be talking about each of them today. I'll be sharing with you guys what the books are about, what I liked about them, if there are things I didn't like, and is it really a romance? Is the book really worth it to go on that list? Or should it be placed somewhere else? I don't know. But everything, of course, will be based on my opinion. If you have read any of these books and have thoughts about them, please feel free to comment them down below so that we can have like a healthy discussion. If you think I'm saying something wrong, if anything that I'll be roasting maybe as we go along the video is your favorite book, you can defend them. We can talk about them. But yeah, of course, just saying these things are all of my opinions. And we'll be going through the titles from the least voted on to the most popular books of 2020. So yeah, let's do it. So the number 20 book in the list is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. Despite of this book being the least popular out of all of the books here, it's actually my most favorite one. Spoiler Alert is a book about a plus-size girl and an actor, and we revolve around a world that's not usually touched in books, and that's fan fiction. Basically, we have our actor here who stars in a series very similar to Game of Thrones. It also was taken from a book. It also has been spanning for many seasons already. And basically, he isn't happy with how his character arc has progressed. So, he puts out all of these frustrations in writing fan fiction. And of course, nobody knows who he is on like the archive of our own thing and the server of that fandom. But he's very happy when people like read his work, and of course the discourse revolving the characters in the story or in the series that he is featuring on. He is friends with somebody there, and he also feels some feelings for this person, but he knows the limitations of like being online, so he does not really take that too far. And then we have our female character who is actually the person behind that account. Our male lead character is friends with, and she's very passionate about the show. She doesn't like also the way the book, like the way the series ran away from the book, and some like casting issues and misogynist or sexist ways the showrunners did to the series. So she also writes amazing fan fiction. And one time she decided to upload on Twitter a cosplay costume of the character who our male lead is in a relationship with in the story. And she faced some backlash, of course, from internet trolls who are very fat phobic and all of that. But instead of ignoring the tweet or not paying attention, our hero here decided to reply and ask her out on a date. So they actually formed this relationship, instant attraction and all of that. without them knowing, I mean, without one of them, without the girl knowing that the guy she is friends with is also the guy she is dating. Like, there's this parallel of the online relationship and the physical relationship, and also everything that revolves around the pressures that they would feel if they decide to be involved based on like their standing or their status in real life. Of course, we have the famous non-famous trope here, and people like seeing him as very conventionally handsome and her being a plus-sized woman. There's also the fact that our hero has this reputation of being an airhead. He calls himself as playing a role to be the well-behaved golden retriever so that the press would love him and they won't think he is too smart. They won't be pressuring him to do too much. And in reality, he is actually very smart and he actually has the talent to write amazing books. So there are many underlying discourses here in the book, and I loved everything about that. But the romance alone, if we focus on that, is also very amazing. It's very beautifully written. This book is very body positive. So if you're looking for a book that is actually real and honest and true to staying to the body positivity value, then this book should be the one to read. And I really, really loved it. Is it a romance? Very. You can expect a lot of like angst and fluff here in the book. Their romance is very precious, if I may say. They do encounter a lot of troubles, but it's always nice to see them make up and how they handle and grow and understand each other as we go along the story. I'm a little sad that it's number 20 on the list. I think this is very underrated and I really, really, really loved. Spoiler alert. So the next book on the list is number 14, which is In a Holidaze. I've read this already last year. I can link the video where I talk about it here in the description below. But basically, it's a Christina Lauren book, and Christina Lauren is my favorite author duo. And this book is the typical Groundhog Day romance, wherein a girl and a family friend who she has crushed on for so long meet again at their like family retreat, yearly retreat, and something happens and she experienced this out of body Groundhog Day thing where she has chances to make things right. And all in all, it was a pretty good book, but my heart was a little sad when the person I was rooting for her to end up with wasn't endgame. So I think that affected the way I enjoyed the story. Is it a romance? Yes, it is. But is it the romance I was rooting for? No, and I didn't like it. So this was a little meh. But of course, if you're looking for a nice writing style, some fun, then of course I do recommend the Christina Lauren books. Number 10 on the list and third on my reads was You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. This book was an absolute cover buy, I have to admit it. But look at the amazing art. It's just so good. And also the premise. Filipinos, we really love telenovelas. There was like this amazing era in the 90s or maybe early 2000s where we do Tagalog dubbing of the famous telenovelas like Marimar, Rosalinda, and all of those things. We love our telenovelas. We love how dramatic they are, how crazy they can be, how the plot twists are so weird, and how they prolong the story, and also the passion and everything about it. Filipinos love it just as much as the target audience does. And when I saw that there would be a book talking about telenovelas with like the main couple as the stars of a telenovela, then I was so excited to grab a copy of it. And basically, that's the premise of this story. We have this up-and-coming female superstar and a veteran actor for telenovelas who's like questioning whether he should stay on this path if people still love him and all of that. And there's also sparks between them, but they're both hesitant. She just got off of a breakup and he has this big secret. So yeah, I loved You Had Me at Hola. There's some steamy parts there, but I love the storytelling. It goes it describes how they interact towards each other when they're in character and when they are not in character, which I like. And I don't know, it's my first time to read Alexis Daria's writing, and I already am in love with her style. I want to like grab more of her work. And is this one a romance? Definitely, this one is a romance through and through. Next, number 7, we have Want to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This one I talked about a lot already on my videos. It's a bachelorette type of book with a plus-size character as the lead, choosing her pick among bachelors, basically. And this book just tells her story from being like from the start of the show until she chooses the final guy as a partner. And I have to admit, I'm a sucker for reality shows. I haven't watched Bachelor. I usually go for like cooking reality shows, but I love the drama I got from the book. I loved like glimpses of, it's just basically like watching the show, the way the author described everything here in the book. There's also a lot of different formats inside the book, like tweets or discussions, like forum style emails and all that, which made reading more interesting. But what I didn't like about the book is how it was pitched or also reviewed by other readers as a body positive book. Though I could relate on some parts of it, I have tabbed it a lot, but I don't think that it's really a body positivity book. It's actually very triggering for someone who is struggling with accepting themselves or loving themselves, even when the world treats them differently from their weight. I think the main character was really unhappy with herself, and I'm not sure if she actually learns to love herself after everything in the book. She makes a lot of comments that, you know, it's actually like internalized fat phobia for me in a way. And I don't know. It did not resonate well to me. As someone who identifies as plus size myself, I do feel empathy for what she was going through and what she was feeling. And I have to agree that this book has fat representation, but is it body positive? I think that's like the not correct, that wasn't the right term to describe this book, basically. And is this book a romance? A part of me says no. This book read more like a, usual fiction book, or what people call as chick lit or women's fiction, because it's more of a self-discovery type of book and not really a romance. Or maybe it's because she was trying to find romance from different guys that there wasn't really time to focus on a specific romance. And for me, that's not what a romance book should be. So I'm kind of leaning towards no on this one. And does it deserve to be on the list of romance books? I think there are more romance focused books aside from this one, but that's just my thoughts on it. Next, we have number 6, and that's Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert, the second book on the Brown Sisters series. And I'm so happy I grabbed this book. I think it deserves all the hype that it gets. There's just something about the way Talia Hibbert writes, and I don't know how she does it, but she goes beyond what you expect a romance book should be. Like, it really gives you representation that we don't really get from other books. And that's what I love about her. She talks about sexuality in a different way. She breaks gender norms. She handles characters that, you know, we don't usually get to read, like women in power, women in STEM, smart women, professional women. And that's what I love about her and these series. This one tackled a suddenly viral couple and their friends, colleagues. It also touched on the fake relationship trope, and I really love that about it. We have a male lead that loves reading romance books, and that's so cute for me, that he is the one that's like interested in jumping in another relationship, and we have a woman who is a commitment phobe. I just love the formula that the author used for this book, and it's definitely a romance, and I loved a lot of things about it. I can think of things I hated about it. Maybe because I listened to an audiobook and I was just having fun. I was just enjoying the entire time. And I can't wait to read like the third installment of the series. I really, really loved Take a Hint, Dani Brown. The next book is book number 5 on the Goodreads list. It's Boyfriend Material, I think by Alexis Hall. Right. And this is the only book, I think, here on the list, or at least in the list that I'm talking to you about. And I really, really like this one. I loved it. It's also a fake relationship trope, and it's one of my favorite tropes ever. It's also British, which usually is a hit. Which usually is a miss for me, because I couldn't relate as much as I would have liked with the humor in British books. Sometimes they're so dry that I couldn't relate, but for some reason I really enjoyed Boyfriend Material. It's about this legend, what do you call, like, the son of a celebrity. Basically, he is a son of 2 celebrities whose relationship didn't work, and his father is like making a comeback on the industry, so eyes are on him as well. But he doesn't have a good reputation, and it is already affecting his work in this non-profit. So to like clean up his reputation, he needs a fake boyfriend, and this fake boyfriend is this stock-up lawyer, was never had like a real relationship before. And what I liked about the book is that I was given this like grumpy / chaotic dynamic, and it's really cute when you see the grumpy one being soft for our character, and our little commitment phobe who's like super hyper gets calm when they're together. And I don't know, I just really love fake relationship tropes, and I love the dynamic between the 2 characters. I think the only thing I didn't like is that the steamy stuff are done off page, and I could have used like some hot and steamy scenes while reading their story. But I guess that's still the author's prerogative, and I still really enjoyed the book. It is definitely a romance, and it's definitely something I could recommend people who love going through contemporaries. It's really fun. The banter is nice, and it's really cute. I think it deserves also all the hype that it got. The next book is number 3 on the list. So many people voted for this book, and so many people love this. I think the author is Rebecca Serle, But this book is in 5 years. And it's a book very similar to like the very trendy where do you see yourself in 5 years type of stories. We had a few already, like bestsellers revolving around this topic. And basically this book, it talks about this girl who has everything planned out in her life, and she already knows she's in a happy relationship. She already knows where her career would go. She has her best friend, and basically she has planned everything in her life. And then she had this very realistic dream that she wakes up at this apartment with another guy, and in a different place than where her apartment would be, and that messes up her current state of mind. And from that premise, you would be thinking that, okay, this book is a romance, but then it's not. It's really not a romance. I don't know why it is in this list. It is a fiction book. It touches very little on romance, but it is not a romance. It's a story about friendship. It revolves around her and her best friend. It revolves around love, but not the romantic kind of love. And also about self-development and all of that, but not a romance. I liked it. It broke my heart. It made me cry. I wasn't expecting this book to take this route, mainly because it was really publicized as a romance, and it's not a romance, basically. I liked it, but it was like promoted differently or marketed differently than what it really should be, and that made me a little disappointed with the book because I was looking for a different story than what I got. And I think that's something that publishers should look into, because you pick up a book because you're looking for a specific something, not really like a cliche formula. But you know, when you pick up a romance, you expect a romance. I don't know about you, but for people who would like, if for example, get this from a romance recommendation list and is expecting for a romance, it would be a little disappointing to see that there's no romance in the book, but a person's like self-discovery, growing up maybe, or like a middle quarter life crisis or something. I don't know, but yeah. Okay. Oh, I forgot to touch on 2 other books. Not in the list, number 9 was The Switch by Beth O'Leary, who was like brought to fame by The Flat Share. This is another British romance book, and basically a girl and her grandmother switch places to try to find themselves and try to be happy, try to find love. Unfortunately, I didn't really like it. I think it was mediocre. I was bored at a lot of times. I read it last year, some far away, and I already forgot most of it. So, I'm sorry, but it also wasn't a romance for me. It felt more leaning into women's fiction or general fiction, also not a romance for me. So, no. Okay. And then number 4 on the list, which I also read sometime last year, was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This one, like most of Coho books, I came into blindly, so I suggest you do the same. Many people guessed the plot twist of this one because Coho loves giving her epic plot twists, but I didn't. And I loved everything about it. It was the story was very passionate. It was very fast-paced, and it made you feel a lot of things. You like feel the burn of the passion by these characters. And then it ended on such a good note that I felt like it cracked my heart. I did a reading vlog for this. I'll just link it down below so that you'll experience the same things I was experiencing when I was reading the book. But it's a really good one. It deserves the number 4 spot. I really loved it, of course, as usual, because it was written by Colleen Hoover. I had high expectations, and those expectations were met. Okay, so the last book I'll be talking about is Beach Read. It's the number 2 on the list. Many people loved it. So Beach Read is about 2 authors in neighboring like vacation homes that accidentally met. So the writer is, so we have a girl who is famous for writing romances. She loves happy endings. She sees like the good in all of these things, and the other guy was her opposite. I guess they knew each other back in college, so this kind of feels like a second chance romance, even if they had a missed chance when they were younger. And then the father of our heroine died, and on his death, I think it was his funeral where she finds out that her dad cheated on her mom, and that like ruined her outlook in life. She felt like she was tricked, and she was very angry at her father and all of that. So it's kind of like losing the basis for all of your beliefs. So she wasn't in a good place, and that made her lose the desire to write the way she usually does. So she goes into this vacation home that her father actually left for her, and that's where she tries to write a story. And she meets that other guy who's also famous just like her. They're both successful in their own rights, and they tried to switch genres and write books for each other, and along the way they do these challenges to like have an immersive experience and help them write the romance or like the literary fiction books that they are going to write. And of course, along the way they do fall in love. I don't think that would be a spoiler for a romance book, but that's basically the premise of it. But along the way you will experience a lot of like great scenes here in the book. Overall though, admittedly, I think this book was a little overhyped. I think my problem mainly was in the pacing of it and in the writing style. Some factors did not appeal to me, and though the book is good, I think it's not as good as people scream it out to be. I did enjoy my time. I did have some like quotable quotes that I liked, and overall I liked that I like their like chemistry and their dynamics. But I don't know, I think there has to be this X factor from a book to make me like rave for it and shout for it from the rooftops and give it like the 5 stars. And I don't know, for some reason it is a romance through and through, but I did not really see it becoming like my favorite romance of the year. And I guess that's okay, to each like his own. And out of all of these 10 books that I shared with you, my number 1 pick at the end of the day would still be, spoiler alert, followed by You Had Me at Hola. And if I would be choosing a third top 3 book, I think I would be going for Boyfriend Material. So those are my top 3 out of the 10 of these books. I know there are other like 10 books. We have the number 1, number 8, and then the number 11 to 19. And I didn't touch on them because some of these are parts of series, and some of these are like, aside from being sequels, some of these are like paranormal or like fantasy romance, if paranormal romance, and I don't usually go down that line. But if you're interested, or if you want me to touch on the other 10 books that Goodreads users picked at the top 20 best romances of 2020, then please let me know in the comments, and I would gladly do that for you. So yeah, what's one book that you have read out of the 10 books I talked about? Do we have conflicting thoughts? Please let me know in the comments, and we will be having a discussion about it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and see you guys on the next one. Bye!